In today's episode, it is the legend Tobi Neumann joining me for the 13th installment. We chat all about his journey as an artist, what he's doing these days with his amazing Apollo studios, and also his touching sound course, which I went on myself at the end of 2019. Tobi is one of the coolest guys I've met, and he's a real legend. So this one is going to be great for everyone. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this episode. And I forgot to mention, this episode is sponsored by myself. SYNTHO is a electronic music learning platform offering a beginner's course and also a course for intermediate to advanced people. So if you want to take music to the next level, head over to my Instagram for more information. I am inviting friends, great artists, great people to talk about their journey as an artist, producer, DJ, and life in general. And there's been some really interesting conversations. And I thought you would be a great person to have on.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
It's a pleasure. And I think a lot of my audience probably won't be aware of the magnitude of your career in the electronic music scene, as it's been going on for as long as I've probably been alive.
Yes, kind of. What is your age? 28? Huh?
25.
25. Yeah, a little longer than you are. I
So
think I got my first records in 96, so you were probably born in 96, huh?
95. So yeah, just about.
Uh,
Um,
Crazy how fast the time passes, man.
Maybe we should start with how did it begin? How did someone buying one record end up in this magnificent studio?
Naja, the studio was a long time before I started to buy records. I mean, I bought records as a teenager, but just for a normal record listening, like everybody else did. But the first DJ records I bought in 96, and at this time I already had my studio. I mean, not exactly like it is now, but kind of the basic structure of the studio was already existing. Uh, and the time when we still were working with multi-track systems and with a patch bass and big mixing desks. And actually, I was already in 87, 88, working with samplers before I was playing in bands, the guitar. But I was never really able to express myself that good on the guitar uh, in competition to all these amazing bands from this time, as I was able later to express myself more with electronic music. So it was a slow process, a continuous process into being more and more into that. And I was doing in the 90s a lot of film music and and advertising jingles with composer friends together, and also started to produce bands. And yeah, with all this influence, I slowly started to discover also house music, and uh, our stuff we produced and we wrote at this time was more and more influenced by that. But we had always my friend Peter, who was also, yeah, my main partner for at this time, was composing the music still with the guitar. But yeah, I had samplers and the Atari, and yeah, we involved these sounds. Yeah, and I think a year before I even started to DJ, I had more than 808, which was giving me a big impact. At this time, I think we used it also for one film score music. The sound of this machine, this crazy bass, and yeah, it's slowly it's turned into what it was later. Huh?
So in the beginning, I'm guessing no Ableton when you first started, all hardware, right?
No, we had actually I had an Atari from the beginning, and before Logic was Logic, it was called Notator or Creator. If you go to the YouTube, you still see that it's some young producers now start to discover it again because it was tight as fuck. The MIDI of this Ataris was really incredible. The timing was very the old Motorola chips, and and we used Notator Logic, Notator, yeah, not Logic. And then in I think in '93 we came to the limits of this program, and then also the company founded the company Imagic, the company who used to run Notator and Creator. I think it was already Imagic at this time. I'm not even sure. And then they started to change to the platform of Apple, and also took over the timeline system which Cubase had, because Notator and Creator was more a list system. You had patterns and you had 4 slots, A, B, C, D, and you could say, okay, this pattern now plays 3.5 bars for 4 times, and then it plays 2 bars from this pattern, and so you had to make a list actually, and that was how you were arranging. And as we did with the SMPTE timecode synchronization, this film stuff, and also with a lot of tempo changes, so it was more and more complicated to do this with this program. And then I bought, I think, Mac Apple Quadra 650 in 92 or 93, and this program called Logic. And then it was only with MIDI at this time. And then in around 95, they were making a cooperation with Pro Tools. Pro Tools at this time had just, I think they also started with an Atari with a 2-track hard disk recording system. And then they created this Pro Tools 2, which was possible to do 4-track hard disk recording. So four individual tracks. And we thought today nobody can imagine anymore what it meant for us at this time. And Logic was involving the Pro Tools system into their software. So because when I started to use Logic, I was dreaming from that on those little bars you drag around might be also audio. So it was not. We had to do the audio playback from the samplers, from the Akai samplers, and also from one unit called Akai DD1000, which was a 4-track MOD recorder. And when I had the first time the audio on the screen of the computer, I thought, this is the future. It's amazing, huh? And I think the first hard drive I bought was a 7 or 8 gigabyte hard drive for about €2,500.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like different prices at this time for storage. So even when we started to use the hard disk recording, we were not thinking that it will ever completely be like the tapes and the digital tapes at this time will not be used anymore in the future. We could not imagine that you can work with so much storage, you know. But I mean, as you can see, it became more and more common. And then in the end of the 90s, I think the Pro Tools 3 started to be already giving you 16 tracks. And this cooperation between Pro Tools and Logic went until Logic moved to Apple. Or even then they were for a while. I think until Logic 7, you were still able to use the TDM system of Pro Tools together with Logic.
So do you actually remember the first house tracks you were making? And was it house music you were making when you first bought these machines, or was it literally?
Yeah, I mean, the first machine I really worked on was like when I was only 19 years in the studio of the father of a friend of us, and it was on a Fairlight. And it was kind of house music what we did. You had the kind of a grid system, and you could play the samples from this Fairlight. It was like ridiculous expensive, of course, not beyond anything we could afford, but we could use it in the studio of the father of our friend because he was a famous film musician. And I think the first kind of house track I ever did in my life was around 84, 85. But at this time, I didn't even know about the existence of house music, you know. I think the first time I heard about house music was around 88.
And
from New York and said, house music.
so was it, because when I hear Tobi Neumann, the first thing that came to mind when I first heard about you, like a few years ago now, a long time, it was Cocoon. I always associated you with Cocoon. And
I had already a career before.
so it was always, I always thought of you as the resident there. And it's crazy to think there was a big gap before that. So what was the process from around 96 from buying your first record to then actually fusing to becoming a DJ. What was the process there?
I was going to the Love Parade '95, but with only one day of time, and so I was only there on Saturday, from Saturday to Sunday, and on Sunday I had to go back to Munich because I was working as a sound engineer for television at this time, and I had some broadcast work to do on Monday, so I was only for a short time, but this was giving me kind of the first infection of the whole thing, that I really understood what it means, the techno in the house. And then in '96, I took more time and I was on a Love Parade and saw those DJs playing. And suddenly I decided I want to do that. You know, also at this time, I also understood the code of house music. And with this 8 bars thing and the fascination about repeating those little words, samples and stuff. And yeah, this was kind of making a switch inside of me. And then I started to buy records. And as I was working together for a guy from Sub Up Records Munich, who also made a second label for electronic music called Disco B, and his name is Upstart, and he had the kind of main techno club from Munich at this time called Ultraschall. And I was going from the fall '96 on every weekend, one or twice, to this club, and started to listen to DJs and heard Jeff Mills and Derek May, and they had a very good connection to Detroit already at this time, and I got influenced by that. But for me, the kind of hard, straight techno they played was never that attracting myself so much than the house music. So as I knew the guy already and had a certain name from producing some of his bands, I asked him, because the Fridays were never running that well than the Saturdays. They had made even bigger lineups on Fridays, but the Munich people used to go out on Saturday for the techno music more than on the Fridays. So the Friday was kind of weak, and I did not hear the music. I did not hear the DJs I wanted to hear. And I asked him, don't you think that we might do once a month a house party? And then he said, you know what? We stopped the Friday. You do your own party. And
Wow.
I mean, I was really very green. I was barely, like, it was in February '98, we started with this party called Flocati. And I didn't even know that many DJs. And they started to buy a computer, going into the email system, and started to, yeah, got offers from agencies. And we started to book DJs. And our party went like off the hook after half a year, and maintained there for 3 to 4 years until I moved to Berlin. And then was like, when I was already in Berlin, I still did it for another 1 year, and then I gave it to my partner because it was too exhausting to go every Friday from Berlin to Munich. But at this time, coming from nowhere, suddenly doing kind of a successful party, because we brought DJs who at this time were not present in Munich. Because at this time you have to see that there was not thousands of different sections of music. It was kind of one music, you know. It was kind of techno rave, but also, or you had a commercial house. So the commercial house parties in Munich were posh, with posh people, which we didn't want to hang out with, and were with DJs like Tom Novi, Eric Morillo, or David Morales, and kind of this sound, you know. And also the French house, filter house sound was very big at this time. So there was a huge gap, a huge space where we could fill with DJs like Steve Bach and Patrick Pulsinger and Ricardo Villalobos, Heiko MSO, Matthias Meyer, Tobias Thomas, to name a few, Boris Lugosz, legendary house DJ from the '90s. And we all brought them. And so nobody did this at this time. So our party was actually something very new for the city, and which gave me also the best lesson of my life. Because what are you as a DJ? You are a host. You should host the people with a convenient selection of music, and make them dance, make them smile, make the boys behaving good, taking care about the girls, all those kind of aspects. And I learned that on my own party. So, and the Cocoon came much later, you know.
So you've listened to DJs there, and I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with a few of the names. Correct me if I'm wrong, but were a lot of the DJs you were booking at the time all from Germany as well, or were people flying overseas to come to play
Yeah,
with you?
yeah, we had we tried twice to book Derek Carter. He didn't never really show up, but we had from London Luke Solomon, Justin Harris, and then we booked from Chicago, Shi Damier, Gene Ferris. We had some American DJs as well, but we even had Theo Parrish on his first European tour. I mean, quite quickly we became a name, so we got all these offers. But after a while, we stopped booking American DJs because the attitude we didn't like, and we were going on with European DJs. But it was much more also DJs from, like not only from Germany. Yeah.
So, following that, was there a turning point where you became a DJ full time, or has it always been back and forth between the studio?
Yeah, I mean, it was an accident actually. I remember when I got the first time money for DJing, you know. I mean, I did not do this with the purpose of making a life out of it. It just came, you know. Of course, it helped a lot because I started to get quite a name in this kind of growing electro house scene, or let's say more electro clash. I was working with artists like the Chicks on Speed and Miss Kittin and Peaches and Sophie O. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, this was the sound. This was the sound. And actually, some of the tracks we produced were kind of world hits at this time in the clubs. And of course, the people reading the name on the cover from myself, and this helped me a lot to make a quick career. And I think the first booking agent I got was Jenny Michaels. She booked me for 1 year from 2000 till 2001 because she heard me in Ibiza. And in 2001, Sven called me and said, "Do you want to join Cocoon?" But he would have never called me if I wouldn't have had those big productions, you know. So actually, it was a combination of being suddenly super inspired, probably also being at least a little bit of talented DJ, and had those productions, and everything came together. And suddenly I was in a big hype, you know. So um, everything kind of, there was many different levels. It suddenly happened, you know.
And was
And
that
then, yeah, and then I mean, also for a while I was mainly doing that, you know.
and was there ever a time when it kind of whirlwinded and really blew up, or would you say it was always quite steady, the rise?
If I would say now, it was a little bit too fast because I could not fill it completely with quality as I would expect it from a DJ. I mean, I was digging, but I was never the biggest digger. And but I always could make people dance. Together with the name, which was big at this time, helped me a lot. But I'm sure I also played some really bad sets and not sets I would like to hear. But yeah, it went really fast, and I was struggling with the same problems, and everybody who has a fast success, you know. For a while, you think the world is turning around you, but it is definitely not.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think with DJing, yeah,
Nobody tells you that. Nobody gives you a lesson and say, "Listen, uh, grow slow and don't forget your roots and all those things." You know, you have to figure it out by yourself.
yeah, I think the hard thing with DJing is no matter how much you DJ, I think you almost mature with the years. And I'm aware of that. When I was like 21, 22, I think I read a quote from Ricardo saying that he never trusts young people to warm up because they've not been digging for records for long enough. And I kind of turned my nose up at the comment, like, what a stupid thing to say. But a few years down the line, I kind of get what he means. Well, I get what he means completely. I think when you're young and you've not been digging for records for that long, because even 5 years, that's nothing compared to a digger for 20 plus years. And I think that maturity in your record selection is,
I mean, the one thing is to be a digger and to know everything about music, but the other thing is the way how you speak to the crowd in terms of how you touch them. And I was definitely somebody who could touch the people uh, uh, from the beginning on, even if I was not that experienced with the music, with the collection. But I think it's not the only thing which matters. It also matters that you kind of hit the common sense of the time, you know, that you run with your development into the sync of the time. And this happened, fortunately, in my career, you know.
So next, Cocoon. Ibiza is something I associate with Cocoon a lot. Did you spend some time out there doing seasons or anything?
Yeah, from time to time, because a friend of mine, she lives there with her kids, and I also went there in February, and yeah, it's beautiful. I had a relation to Ibiza since '99, where I also met Sven Feth, and all the people around him, which was really kind of totally fascinating for me. Suddenly, a completely new world appeared. And as I met them, and as I was also spending the millennium with Sven and a very exclusive small group of friends, 45 people, he invited me, and they heard me playing for the first time. They didn't even know who I am, and I did a good job. And actually, maybe the most important set of my life. And then DJT, who was running the Groove magazine, booked me for Frankfurt, and suddenly I was playing on the best parties in Frankfurt. 2001, they booked me on Time Warp. Everything was going really fast, you know. I met Atta. I started to be resident at the Robert Johnson. In the same time, I played for Cocoon, which were at this time still at the U60 311 club. And yeah, the Frankfurt thing made me rising as a DJ. But I learned my lessons from Munich, you know,
So
on my own party.
it's safe to say that I think you played nearly every big club in the world. Is there any?
Not every, but many.
Is there any that you'd never ticked off though that's still on the list?
I have never been in Australia.
Ah, yeah. The Sash party looks wicked there as well.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, you cannot reach everything. I mean, I have never been that ambitious, honestly. It just happened, you know. I never made a goal. Like I have some colleagues who also, some of them became really big, who are super focused on the success, but they were younger when they started. For me, it was more like fucking hell, what's going on? Suddenly all those things come, you know. And yeah, of course, it would have been nice to be in Australia, especially also New Zealand would be really interesting. Also, I never played in this big club in what is it called? Southeast Asia, not Bangkok, Singapore. I think there was this really big club. But I was in Japan, I was in China. I've been many times in Thailand. I played. I have never been in India, but India grew when my career was already not that interesting anymore. So, but I've been also in the USA. And I think one of the biggest, for me, the most amazing thing was to be able to play regularly in London and in Paris at the rack, at the Fabric. This was for me like, that meant a lot, you know.
Yeah, I've still not actually been, but I think it's one that every DJ that really loves the art of it wants to play.
Where?
Fabric.
Yeah, I mean, what a place, huh? What a dedication from Judy and from Craig and all the guys from this club. And also after the problems of the raid, that they still kept it going. I had crazy moments there.
And DC10 Amnesia, you've done them right.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really in the full target of Antonio and Andrea, but I played, yeah, once for Paradise, which was really nice on a Wednesday, and I played once with Ricardo together on a Monday when DC10 was still the DC10 with open roof, no roof. And then once they booked me regularly in 2005, but somehow the chemistry was not so good, so they didn't invite me again.
So I was going to say, do you consider yourself more of a DJ or more of a producer? But I think I know what the answer is. Producer.
Now I would say that, yeah, but I think I'm also really a DJ. But I think I'm a DJ who sees the professional as a DJ also giving a service. So I'm not a DJ who is standing there and playing super strict only his style. I always try to find a compromise between the situation and myself, because it simply makes me more happy when everybody's happy than when I did my thing but nobody could take it, you know. So I would say that I really became a professional DJ because I prepared well, and I the most of the time probably did a good job because they always invited me again, and I never had that many releases. So it was not so easy to book me, but they did because I guess because I did a good job. And so now after being on the road for 20 years, I would call myself definitely a full professional DJ.
Yeah, everyone I speak
I'm
to,
a dance music player, Tanzmusik entertainer. Yeah.
yeah, everyone I speak to, like Luca, etc., from the Keep On Dancing crew, all say you're a great DJ. So I was asking it in more perspective. How do you feel more to DJing or producing? But
Both. I
but
learned professions, two professions. I'm a sound engineer. I also can write music a little bit, and I can produce music. And I'm a DJ, and you have to see this separately. I mean, today the great careers often come from a guy who's doing both, but actually it's two professions.
yeah, I agree totally.
Mm.
So
There's
let's
only a few DJs who really made a big career without having any own productions. Carotte and Atta. There's not that many. The most of them have to do music for giving some identity and some creating a brand. But there is DJs who are just DJs.
yeah, I think it's in such a competitive scene now. Everyone wants to be a DJ.
Yeah,
In
I'm
fact,
just so happy. I have a daughter. It's Greta. She's 27, and I'm so happy that she didn't want to become a DJ.
did you steer away from it?
I tell you.
You ever come to parties with you when you were DJing?
Yeah, from time to time, but she sees the light, but she also sees the darkness of it.
Yeah.
So she can see through the pretentious things, the glam. She also sees. I mean, her father, me, was for a while really more into himself than into her. So I've definitely made some mistakes, and she was suffering from that. So she could also make count one and one together and see, okay, the life also takes my father away.
So on that point, do you think, as someone who's gone and done the intense touring and now not doing it, do you think it's sustainable for 30, 40 years?
Sustainable.
Yes, as in DJing every single weekend. Do you think it's actually sustainable to live a
I mean, when they book you,
yeah,
when they book you, I mean, look at Laurent Garnier.
yeah.
I mean, the way how he prepares and the way how every cell of his body is into music. It's beautiful to see that. Uh, what I expect from a DJ is more than playing one playlist. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have any protection for our job. For instance, in Germany, I don't know if it's in the UK, you cannot call yourself carpenter if you're not really made the education. First, you get Geselle. This is kind of the first stage, and then you have to make the master. And only when you are the master, you're allowed to educate young carpenters, and you are saved by a corporation. They are organized. So, but we have the problem that everyone who looks nice and has Instagram can stand in front of two CDJs, put a stick inside, and play some music. That's not DJing for me, but unfortunately, many of them even have more success than I ever had. So we have to deal with that. I was once working with a lovely Archie Hamilton in my studio, and he said, "Look at us. We are guys. We are over 30. In my case, over 50 even. We don't have tattoos. Our career can be over very soon." So he said this in such a nice way. I mean, he did a great career, and he's very talented, as we all know. But yeah, it doesn't become easier. In the 0 years to be a Cocoon DJ was like you had bookings. We did not even have to do the Instagram thing or the Facebook thing. At this time, we had some MySpace.
Yeah, I think the demands now to become an artist is crazy. I remember we spoke about this when I was with you in Berlin, but you've now got to be marketing, making music, be able to network, DJ. And it's people say it's easier now because of social media, but also it's harder because everyone can shove things down your face, promotion, and more people are doing it. So I think it's actually people say, "Oh, it's harder now," but it's I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's more competitive than ever. Even though we've got social media to promote ourselves, it means there's
But we're gonna change it, Josh. That's the reality now. And thanks God, there's some groups of people who really care more about a real DJ and invite them. There's DJs like who don't do any social media, like Sip or Francesco Delgada or Bin or Nicolas Lutz. And they got booked because of their amazing selection and the work they gave, the dedication they gave into it for decades of collecting and playing incredible music. So there is still a market for that, but yeah, on the really commercial side, it's different, you know. And yeah, it seems like you have to know 10 jobs until you can really make a career. You have to look good. You have to be very good in fashion. Fashion became so important now. And the DJing and the entertaining the people is only really one part of the whole job you have to do. Except you have a big company behind you when you're super successful and make a lot of money, then you can pay people for that, you know.
yeah, it's completely true. I agree.
Also those kind of true careers. Marcel Dettmann, Ben Klock, Ricardo Villalobos, Roman Flügel, Ben UFO. There's so many who are really true artists who really have a lot of substance, who do albums, who really work their asses off also in the studio, and who are great DJs and who created their own label. So there is people like also you. I mean, Fabe, Archie. There's this, there's many who are really just doing it like it's required, you know, and so it's existing. It's real that some people are able to do all that, you know.
Yeah, just more things to tick off, I think. For me personally, it's like I know every few days, you'll know this as well, Instagram post just to stay above water almost. It feels like sometimes if you don't do a post, you almost don't exist within this
Ace, yeah.
within this world. If
I
it
was once speaking with Fabian, with Fabian Winklitz, Fabe, about it, and it was like the first lockdown was already for 2-3 months, and then I called him and said, "How are you?" And he said, "Yeah, you know, at the beginning I was like having these reflexes. What are you? What are the others doing? Am I not active enough anymore on the social media?" But then after a while, I realized nobody has any content anymore, and then he kind of started to feel over after years the first time a really strong relaxation, you know. And I know that I mean also I recognized on the social media, I'm also quite active on the social media, but more for our studio here and for courses and for my work as a producer and as a teacher, as a tutor for synthesizer and sound design. But I see that the content changed. You know? Some don't have any content anymore to show, but some others do. You know, and usually the ones who really real true musicians, they still can show something. You know, or Roman Flügel, for instance, who I adore. What an artist! What a musician! He has this rinse podcast every 2 weeks, and this also requires a lot of preparation to make a radio show for 2 weeks and not playing the same stuff than 2 weeks before. I pay a lot of respect for that, you know. Or for instance, Carl Cox. Did you check what he's doing? It's just amazing. This guy, fucking hell, like wow.
yeah, you know what, Toby? That's really got
Fever. He has a collection of 30,000 records in his back, and he really does the work and said, okay, now I introduce you to Matthew Bushwalker. What has this guy done? And then he collects all the nice Bushwalker and Lion Bushwalker stuff and plays a vinyl set with the music of this time. It's just like so good. Really good. I cannot say how much I respect what he does and how he does it. I don't know how many Kevin Fevers he has now, 45 or
I
something.
think every single week. I think I'm nearly 50 now. Bushwhack.
Real DJ. Did you see any of those fancy Instagram hypey half naked ones? Is any of them doing that, showing you some history of music? I think we have a saying in German, die Spreu trennt sich vom Weizen. I don't know how to say that in English.
I've not got a clue.
Well, let me check.
I think that's a really interesting point you've said, Toby, that the true artists have still got things to post now, whether it be preparing for a DJ set or studio video or something. I never really thought of it like that. The people who have got nothing to post, you'd question what their substance is when they've not got a video to post of a gig, I guess.
Separate the wheat from the. Oh wait.
Oh, it's not focusing.
Separate the wheat from the chaff. Saying no. It's a saying. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Sorry, I was saying. I think the point you said about the people who have got nothing to post now and no substance, no content. You'd question their commitment.
Always their face.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I've never actually thought of it like that because I've been posting things like studio videos or, some studio videos, or I always think about posting more mixes, and I never really thought of it like you've just said. Then it takes dedication to prepare for a mix every 2 weeks, and I've never thought how much Carl Cox it must take preparation every week for that. The way he plays records every week, or never the same record.
He lives it. I never been the biggest fan of Carl Cox, but I always respected him. Also, I thought it is adorable how he dances with his kind of massive body, how sexy he can move his hips. This was. I haven't been the biggest fan of the selection of music from him, but now I'm a really big fan because he showed us. Without, I mean, this guy, I don't know how many millions he has on the account. He doesn't definitely don't have to do that. He's doing this because he loves it. And this is one of the best experiences I had now in this last year. What this guy shows us, you know.
Yeah, he's actually an amazing.
He gives the young people really. It's like you're going to a museum, and then he stands there, so sweet with his microphone, and like I don't know, it's like so cool. Huh?
But I think he's really presented himself as one of the greatest DJs ever. The way he plays them records so effortlessly. I've seen him playing hardcore. He's playing funk, disco, soul, and every mix is seamless, not sweat, just easy. And yeah, it's very impressive actually.
And in the time when he was still working with this, I mean, he works on the professional side with, I guess, 3 CDJs plus the tractor and some machines, and he's working very technically. And he has his microphone always. And there was long time before Corona, I guess in 2017 or 18, he has this hacienda in Ibiza, and this time he was still doing the Revolution Party, and he was doing a vinyl set. And you know that there's even a Vestax mixer, which was built extra for him. And many people were extremely impressed what a great vinyl DJ he is. I mean, but he was already playing for 20 years when there was only vinyl. For us, also it was completely normal to play vinyl. It was nothing special. Today, you see many people having the vinyl, the turntable standing here and the records, but at the end, just search for some tracks on the CDJ. Fuck them, sorry.
Yeah, I think
and he showed that he is able to play very good. And now he started that. He's doing, even now he had some 7-inch things with funk from the 70s. This guy is like a lexicon, you know?
Yeah, I think it's crazy how he actually, the amount of music he must have in his brain because he's got that many records.
He's not smoking weed.
Yeah, I think even for me, I've got I've got a lot of records, but nothing compared to that. But I'm not that organized with my small amount. So to see someone who's preparing for a different set every week, he's clearly super organized. He knows all these records at the back of his hand.
I think he also sits really a lot in his shelf and used this time. I guess he lives in Melbourne. And he has his collection there and works every day. Otherwise, you cannot do this. You need to at least 20 hours or 15 hours, I guess, to prepare a reasonable set from one period of music. So, and the set, what we see at the end is just a result of work. You know?
Yeah. So, Tobi, let's talk about what you're doing now with Apollo Studios.
Yeah.
I attended the course, which feels like 2 minutes ago, but because of COVID, it's like, because that was towards the end of 2019. And I think after that, it wasn't long until everything was done again, I think, if I'm correct.
You've been on our second course, and Fabian told me he's a good one. He's a good one. He knows a lot, and he made already a lot. I didn't know your name before, but now, of course, I know. Yeah, we did actually. We were planning to do the third touching sound for everybody who listens. Andrea, my partner, and myself, we are running a tutorial series, actually a studio experience course called Touching Sound. Yeah, touching sound.
Yeah, so everyone that's watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. If you're listening on the podcast, you'll be able to. Toby showing his impressive modular rig, which I'm sure I'll be making the thumbnail of this video. And Toby's doing a 4-day course, is it?
Exactly.
4-day course in his studio in Berlin, in which I did 2019, and it's insane. And I'm sure Toby will tell you a bit more about it now.
Yeah, you can touch the mixing desk, everything. So yeah, but we decided not to do this online. So we wait until it's possible again, and we did one course instead of April last year. We did it in October, and this was working. And now we are planning the next for April. Let's see if we can sell it. We sold a few tickets, but we still have some left with nice tutors together. And yeah, but beside that, I'm also giving private courses because actually it's quite some people really book us, just like 2 of them come to my studio, which is no problem because we have very good AC and it's a large room. And so it's possible to work with 2 or 3 people in here. This studio saved my ass also in these times. Without this studio, I would have been a sad person sitting at home without bookings. But the studio really gave me so much joy, and actually I totally found my way back to it. And to come back to the course, yeah, we had we offer several services. We mix music. For instance, I mix music for you. I mixed an album for Damien Lazarus last year. We work for young Berlin artists with more techno and breakbeat stuff. So we are quite active with that. And also then another really important part is that we offer a true instrument tracking service to the people. So the people come and with written music on the laptop, give us the MIDIs, and we exchange the sounds with the real machines, which does make a difference for the ones who really appreciate it. And then we teach, and we do those courses. And also sometimes I'm doing just music with my friends.
So anyone watching this, Toby's studio and his course is ideal for anyone that if you're beginner or advanced, because I can guarantee there is stuff in there which you'll only be able to use if you're in Toby's studio, such as the modular rig. I guess that is nothing like that exact combination of modules in the world, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple of more people who have a lot, but this is very special and took me a lot of time, and it's never really stops. Sometimes you change some modules, but I mean, I think I owned the double amount of that and sold it again because you have to find the ones you like the most. And I actually am blessed to have a lot of Swayman modules, which was a genius engineer who unfortunately passed last week. The Swedish guy, Polish Swedish guy. And yeah, the combination of modules in my rack is really kind of unique. But I would say what is more unique than that is that everything is synchronized. Everything is connected. You can record 30 tracks in the same time on the desk. So you can build up sessions with several people. It's not a one-man studio, for instance. It's a bit complicated to work alone with all the stuff. You have just to take one machine and work with that. But it's more really a studio for 2 or 3 people operating it. And you never have to think about any technical issue in terms of, can I record this now on an extra track, blah, blah, blah. You can just record. And so this took a long time and a lot of knowledge and a lot of wiring and soldering. But everything works very well and very proper together. So this is actually something which makes me really proud, because that's the only chance that you really use those stuff, because the most people like to open the software because they can always recall it, and say, yeah, it's nice to have the machines, but I'm too lazy for that. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it is a
a hardware studio. Huh?
Yeah, it's a spectacular sight when you're in there because it's a massive room. Where Toby is now, that's only less than half this little section, right? It's like double the other side as well.
Yeah. Here's some.
Yeah, and it's funny. My studio is very much not modeled on Toby's. I kind of a fusion between Toby's, Devon Analog Studio, because I've got my desk.
I think the Devon Analog Studio, of course, I'm following those guys. They're amazing. Looks larger on the videos than it is.
Tiny. It's like half the size of yours.
Yeah. That's because then I made some proportion check with okay, how large is the SH101? I could see it's not that big, but it's nicely done. I mean, how he put all the gear around. Huh?
It's really, again, it's all perfectly set up. I'm having some problems with mine because I just keep changing. I've not got everything routed through single channels yet. So sometimes I've got my OB6, which I sold now, and then other instruments to the same buses. So I've got to keep muting them, but I need to buy some more cables so they're all running separately to the sound card, so I can record each individual channel on the mixer. At the moment, I'm sending.
What inputs do you have on your sound card?
I think I've got 16.
Yeah, so connect them.
Yeah. I need to get some more cables.
What kind of mixing desk do you have?
I've got the Soundcraft Ghost.
Yeah, but then you just take the direct. Does it have direct outs?
Yes.
Yeah. You just connect the direct outs to the sound card, and then you can record everything you want.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I sold the Oberheim in the end, so I'm either going to get the Profit or the Super 6, but I think the Profit's for me, but it's just so expensive, but I think I'll have to do it. What are your thoughts?
I have both. Is that not a Super 6 here in the rear, the blue one?
No, it's the OB12, an old...
this Italian one. Okay. Yeah. Well, the Prophet 5 is something very special, and it's amazing that finally a second company after Moog understood you cannot build something which looks like and sounds a little bit like to hope that it will have the same sound than the real machine. And Dave Smith understood after bringing Prophet 8, which was mechanically very weak, and Prophet 6, which was mechanically much better and less menu structure, but it's still not a Prophet 5. And because it uses a completely different technique. So David Rossum from EMU, who also has a modular company, was able to build those chips again because it was easier to build a mini Moog because it was discrete. So you just needed some capacitors, transformators, and resistors to build discrete circuit boards. But for instance, to build a Jupiter 8 again is impossible because you will not get the chips anymore. And I think through the fact that Dave Rossum was able to rebuild the chips, Dave Smith was able to really build the Prophet 5 again, as it used to be, plus some very good new functionalities. But it is mono, it doesn't have any effects. But if you hear the sound coming out from this machine, mono, without reverb, without delay, it is a dimension of sound you would probably not imagine before. So, and I'm very sure that it will not lose a dime. So buy it if you can.
What about the Super 6? What are your thoughts on that?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Iconic. Totally modern compared to that. I was working end of last year. A really nice work with Dixon. We did a rework from a German hip hop track. From the band nicht fettes Brot, what was it called? Deichkind. And he found a part, so typically Dixon, a part of the track which was just in the back, and took this as a main track and built a new arrangement out of that. And he came to my studio and we did the bass line with the Mini Moog, which is since I have the Mini Moog, I'm using mainly the Mini Moog for bass. And it's not a sub-fatty, or it's not a little Taurus. It's just a Mini Moog. When you hear one oscillator playing on a Mini Moog, it's completely different. It's just a world for its own. It's also not the Moog 1. The Mini Moog is just like so strong and cuts so through. It's crazy. So we did the bass line with the Minimoog, and then we heard the track at the end and it was sounding like, it's a little bit old school. It's not so exciting. And then I thought, okay, let's try the Super 6 because I just got the Super 6. I had it for 2 months. And I did a bass line, the bass line which I before sent to the Minimoog, I sent it to the Super 6. And instead of being mono one isolator, I had it stereo. And I did not put too much of this super spread thing, but I did a little bit. And suddenly we had exactly the sound. It was like, it sounds like a modern classic. And what this guy, what is his name? Andrew Fern, I guess, or David, I don't forgot. He's a genius guy, what he built. Also, the mechanical quality is amazing. And I think this is one of the best new synthesizers which came out. Yeah.
Wow. So if you had to choose one, or are they two different? Oh, the Prophet 5 and the Super 6?
It's very different, huh? The Prophet 5 is very kind of raw.
Yeah, so I think that would work better for me though, the Prophet, I think, for the music.
I think, but for your music, as far as I mean, it's easier to get kind of Super 6 style sounds with other gear. And I know your music as I mix some of your beautiful stuff. So you will anyway always find a nice way to make kind of wide pads. But the only thing which I would maybe miss in your music is a bit of analog dirt. So I would maybe go for the Prophet 5.
Yeah, I think so too. My heart's telling me I need to just pull the trigger. But yeah, I'm just waiting. You know, that feeling when you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it after this. So Tobi, at the end of each podcast, I always do some fun questions to find out a bit more about you. I think we've found some, like, so far, if anyone's got any questions on Apollo course or anything, message me and I can pass you on to Tobi, or I'll put an email below. And yeah, I think anyone listening
we have for everybody who's interested, we have an Instagram account called Apollo Studio Berlin. And there you find all the details about the next courses. And also in the summer, we're planning a bigger thing, which is not promoted yet. It's a summer camp of a full experience with also mastering studio together will be very interesting. With a small groups of people really trying to create something. That's our plan for the late summer, as Corona allows us to do it. And but for now, we are planning the next Touching Sound course, and everything you need to know, ask Josh or go to our Instagram account.
Wait. So Tobi, the first question is, what is your favorite place in the world?
The one where I have a good time with my friends.
So any location? If you're with your friends, any location, or does it not matter?
No, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I like the Alps. I like to be on the seaside. I like to be in Portugal, but I stopped doing this comparison thing too much because actually at the end there's certain things which have to come together to have a good time, and then it's in this moment the best time in the world.
What is your go-to breakfast?
I take up to 2 hours to prepare breakfast every day. It's the most important meal of the day. So I'm doing juices. I'm really preparing healthy food. I'm doing every day different smoothies, juices. I like to put eggs, fried eggs on avocado bread. I buy very good bread. I eat fruits. So I drink in the morning some lemon water, warm lemon water before I do anything else. So the breakfast is an important thing for me.
So that's the key to the music.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time, but actually, it doesn't cost me so much effort. I just love to do it.
What is your favorite quote in English, if possible?
Next level, mate. No, I really like the Cogni. The best quote. I don't know. Wicked.
It's an inspirational quote.
Huh?
I mean, an inspirational quote.
Doesn't come to my mind yet. Sorry.
Favorite book you've ever read?
Jim Knopf und Lukas, der Lokomotivführer von Michael Ende.
I'll order it off Amazon later.
Yeah. Huh?
What's your biggest lesson of 2020?
Family and friends.
Good one.
The most important thing you have.
What are your thoughts on Amazon?
I mean, at the end, you should, wherever you can, avoid Amazon, because you kill small dealers from your hometown. But if everybody would deliver, it's so reliable than them. It would be easier to avoid them, but sometimes I can't avoid them.
The cables, right? When you need a new cable, Amazon straight away. Everyone.
I was doing some kitchen thing with my girlfriend. She was in Berlin, and I had a bigger cooking action because I really like to cook. I didn't even speak about it yet, but so I needed some new stuff for the kitchen, and the stores are closed in Berlin at the moment. So I ordered on the afternoon. On the next morning, everything came.
Yeah, it's too good.
Nobody ever performed like them.
Yeah, I think they are ahead of everyone else.
Based on slavery.
What's one item you couldn't live without, but it can't be electronic?
Sorry?
One item you couldn't live without, non-electronic though.
A non-electronic item?
Yep.
Good question. A guitar, my ukulele.
Yeah, good one. What's your favorite sport?
What? 1 second. Spread happiness. This instrument I can recommend to everybody.
And can you play a song on it?
Huh?
Can you play a song on it?
No, because it's out of tune, because we had a party last weekend here, a small illegal, and it's completely out of tune. Now I cannot play one song for you. Sorry.
Everyone's disappointed now. Everyone was waiting for a tune.
I'm sorry.
What is your favorite company?
Good question. Falke.
Who's that?
Socks. Very good socks.
And last question, what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
What I knew now, which then, I don't know, about empathy with other people, about not only thinking about yourself, but also thinking about how some other persons would feel when you do certain things. I would have wished to be a little bit earlier in my life, so mature to know that.
Good one. Good one. So that is the questions wrapped up, but I feel like you're about to mention cooking before. Did we miss that bit out? You like to cook, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, this is not a new thing that DJs cook, and it has something very similar, because I mean, you can prepare that as long as you want. At the end, it's a bit of a feeling in the moment, and I was always playing at the end. The guidance of my set was less the plan than more the situation, and sometimes I was being guided right, and sometimes I was being guided wrong. And in the kitchen, it's pretty much similar. You prepare the products you want to cook and some tools you need. And then you have maybe a recipe book. For instance, at the moment, I'm really into Otto Lengi, Jotam Otto Lengi, who does a lot of vegetarian, amazing tasting stuff. And but at the end, it's also very much a feeling, and somehow the effort of cooking, I told you that before, that I do breakfast every morning, up to an hour of preparation. It doesn't exhaust me. It's just a more meditation.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I get what you mean completely. So,
and I mean, look at me. I'm 55. I'm kind of okay in shape. If I would eat every day 2 times meat, or like convenient food and out from the package, the crisps or whatever, I would definitely not look like that.
are you still doing boxing?
It's really your own responsibility what you do to your body. And I mean, I'm a party guy. You can put me on a party. I will for sure have a couple of drinks. But I think in the regular life, it's really important what you eat and what you don't eat.
Are you still doing the boxing?
Yeah, but my studio is closed at the moment. But I'm doing 3 different workouts in the morning. And one is called 7 minutes, which really nice, because nobody can excuse to have 7 minutes for his body. And you do 10 lessons or 12 lessons. And at the end, your heart is beating and you did something. And then also I do some little kind of stretching yoga called Mady Morrison's, German yoga teacher in YouTube. And it's a really nice British lady called Vanessa B Health TV, and she has this kind of Farah bands. And I'm doing a lot to strengthen my back because I'm sitting a lot here, you know. So this together with the food kind of makes me happy, makes me a happier man.
Nice. Sounds
Yeah,
like you've got the health side under control. Very much so.
yeah, 6 days a week.
So, anything? Are you doing anything tonight? Busy one or more studio?
No, today is a really nice, one of the few days where I'm off, and some of the modules at the moment are not in the box. And now I will rearrange because I got a new module. I had to rearrange some stuff, and I'm not happy when not everything is in order. So I will now listen to nice music and make a nice order of my modules, and then start to play around with the new gear. Yeah.
Sweet, Toby. Well, I think we're all good there. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
your time.
George.
Hopefully, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much. How long did we speak now?
We spoke for about an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow, the time passed really fast.
Yeah, man, very fast. So I will be in touch soon. I'll drop you a message in a bit, and thank you again. And send me any links. I'll just tag Touching Sound and stuff like that.
I do that. Yeah.
Cool,
Thank
Toby.
you for having me.
Thank you, man. I'll see you soon.